And we are back. Now, we had a fantastic conversation with Dr. M, but we're going to level up and we're going to chat a bit with Will Shields.
But before that, we'd like to thank our sponsor of this personal vignette is Biotics. Biotics Research is a leader in the nutrition industry for more than 50 years, known for top quality supplements and enhanced product delivery systems. We drive advancement by focusing on research initiatives, unique products formulations, and unprecedented quality control. They're family owned with a rich history. They're most proud of their valued partnerships and their healthcare professionals. Let's play the commercial. And these allergies are killing me.
Hi, my name is Dennis DeLuca, the president of Biotics Research. In the late 1950s, my cousin was diagnosed with a serious illness, and my father became determined to help him. The prognosis was not good, but through science-based nutritional intervention, my cousin's quality of life exceeded medical expectations. It was that illness that brought several family members together, which led to the founding of Biotics Research in 1976.
Thank you again to Biotics Research. Now, without our sponsors, there is no way we could have such a great event like this today. But let's jump back into the conversation. Now, as you know, we had Dr. M, and now we're going to spice it up with Will Shields. He was a guard in the National Football League for 14 seasons, and he played college football for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. I know my staff member loves that part. Earning consensus All-American honors and winning the Outland Trophy. Shields played his entire 14-year professional career with the Kansas City Chiefs. How fortunate they were, and never missed a game. Can you imagine never missing a game? Now, clearly, Shields was selected to 12 Pro Bowls with a 3-time first-time All-Pro, a 4-time second-team All-Pro, and was selected to the NFL 2000 All-Decade Team. But that's not all. He had 321 consecutive starts in the NFL. Think about that. That's almost a full year playing in the offensive line. He won, without a doubt, and earned the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. And in 2003 season, he was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2011, and then inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2015. That is outstanding. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Every time I read it, I just get more inspired. I'm like, I can do more. I can be more. I can be like Will Shields.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't think people realize how hard it is to have those statistics.
No.
Especially in the NFL, right?
100%.
And I think it comes down to, number one, who you have around you, like the athlete's team around them. And Doc, I'd love to hear the story, because a lot of times when I'm working with players, people are like, well, how did you guys meet, right? And I think that it's always a funny story, so I want to hear this.
Oh, no. I got to let Will tell this one.
Well, it's a very bad story to tell.
No, it's not.
It is. It's
Come
terrible.
on.
Terrible.
Well, terrible for you. It was good for me.
So, during the off season, you're doing other things, and some things you're supposed to be doing, and some things you're not.
Now, this is,
And
you just got drafted before he even gets to the Chiefs.
First year or second year?
No, you were just drafted.
Yeah, my first year. So, we do things. We go do pickup games of basketball. We play racquetball. We do all this other stuff. And so I'm out messing around, doing other things, and I end up stepping on someone's foot, and I hear this pop, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what did I do? I was like, I haven't even got a chance to get to my first training camp yet, and I'm already injured. So I called one of my teammates, and I go, all right, I got an injury. Who do I talk to? And Dave Zott goes, oh. He's like, well, what kind of injury is it? And I was like, well, it's an ankle, and I can't go into the stadium with it. And he was like, well, what you need to do is go talk to Doc M. And I was like, who is Doc M? He was like, well, he's a guy. He fixes everything. And I was like, really? He fixes everything? He's like, yeah, he can fix anything. I was like, okay, great. So I called Doc, said, hey, I need to come over and have you look at it. So I come over, Doc's sitting there, he's like, yeah, he's looking at it, he's moving it around, he was like this, that, and the other, and then he goes and he's looking in his drawer, and then he looks over at me, and he goes, all right, come here, and then he says, here, tapes it up. And he tapes my foot up with electrical tape, black electrical tape. And I'm sitting here going, black electrical tape, what is this? It's like black electrical tape? And he's like, yeah, come back tomorrow and I'll tell you if it's snapped or something cracked in there. I'll tell you tomorrow. And I was like, so that's it? And he was like, yeah, that's it. Just come back. Come back the next day. He takes off the tape and he goes, oh yeah, you fractured it right here on this spot. And I was like, are you sure? He was like, yeah, I'm sure. You fractured here on that spot. So 2 weeks later, I've been getting treatment. I go in, I'm able to run again, all that good stuff. And they test it, and I was like, yeah, I've had this little ankle issue. Can you guys x-ray it? So they x-ray it. And it's that exact spot. They said, look, it looks like you chipped a bone right there, chipped something right there. And I was like, okay, so this guy really knows what he's doing. It's like, man, he is amazing. I was like, I got to go to this guy all the time and get things fixed and everything else. So years later, Doc comes up and he goes, yeah, I wanted to tell you, you kept talking about this miracle and this stuff I did for you and your ankle and everything else. And he was like, I just want you to know. It's like, no what? He was like, well, the reason I used electrical tape, it was the only tape I had.
I love it.
Well, actually, to that point, that could have been the beginning of all that kinetic tape stuff.
Yeah.
I did it. It was
Yes,
like,
we will crown him today using electrical. At least it wasn't duct tape. 'Cause
Well-
you really would have had
duct tape was too wide.
Yeah, it was too wide. So
was
he
too
used the
wide.
black electrical
Yeah,
tape
Doc,
on my
I
ankle,
will-
and I was
yeah.
like,
But I will say electrical tape, I do use it.
Yeah.
Because I love the way that it holds.
And it's
I
flexible.
It is flexible, right?
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
and I was like, for that point on, I was like, oh, this dude, he's a miracle worker. He could fix anything. So anything I had, I was like, I'm going to Doc M. Let him fix it. Let's figure out what's going on. And so
That's
that's
the
how
key
we
word.
that's how we started. It was like, hey,
Miracle worker.
let's see
Dr.
if we can
Miracle
figure it
Worker.
out.
Well, and it
Oh,
goes.
but
go
you
ahead.
didn't tell him I can walk on water too.
That's for the next segment.
Now I haven't seen that.
No, okay, it has
I
to be.
haven't physically
Okay, hold on,
seen
hold
that,
on.
but I've
It has
heard
to-
about it.
It has to be frozen, and I have to have my skates on. But I can't walk on water. I can even walk on backwards too.
Yeah, that's
love
stuff I
that.
can't do. My ankles aren't strong enough, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Well, as an elite athlete, I think one of the things that people in the community miss is that just like being on the field, being in life's the same kind of training. And when you've had that many starts, talk about how you did that.
Well, there was a lot of injuries with those
Yep.
starts. So it would start, I think 1 year I had a broken hand where all the muscles were tore in the hand. And so you'd practice all week with your hand closed and then only open it on game day. You've had ankles and knees and everything else. Actually, I've had Doc M reset my nervous system. Have you
Say that
ever heard
again.
it?
Say that again.
Do it loud.
I've had Doc
Tell 'em
M
how.
reset my nervous system in my body before a game. So I had this thing where I go pregame and warm up, and my whole right side would just freeze. It would just lock up. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to play. What's going on? I was like, this is crazy. So I'd say, okay, one more day. And I go that day, and I would go see him afterwards. And he's like, okay. He'd mess around with it, try to put lasers and do all this other stuff. And he goes, Saturday, he was like, I got one more thing I can do. And he was like, well, what's that? He goes, I can reset your nervous system. And I was like, right, reset my nervous system. He was like, yeah, I'll put this little laser back here behind your ear and reset your nervous system, and we'll see what happens. So as he does this, he puts the laser back here behind my ear, of course on the other side because it goes opposites. I've learned that too, so I feel
Educating
sort of special,
our athletes is so good.
And he does this little thing behind my ear, and I can actually feel the muscles relaxing on that side of my body. And so I ended up playing that week, and those are things that's happened all through those games. Is that there was one, there's a week the guy goes, oh, you're not going to play on that ankle because I've had that injury and I couldn't play on it. And I was like, but you don't know, I've got Doc M, I've got all these other guys. I was like, I'm going to ice and stim it all day, and then I'm going to go see Doc, and we're going to figure out a way to get you back on the field. And that's what happened. You had a good team around you of people, and you have to use all of that team so that you can be available for that next game. And that was what's really cool about it. It was like, are you hurt or are you injured? And then you're trying to figure out, is it to a point to where you can play? And that's where we've always figured out. And we did have one that was an ankle, and the guy goes, he's like, you gonna play this week? I said, no, I think I'm out. I think I can't do it. He was like, you don't really realize what you're about to do you? And I was like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, this is gonna be your 200 start. And he goes, and 60% of you is better than 100% of the guy that's going to play next to me this week. So you're going to tape up, we're going to shoot it up, you're going to play.
Yes.
Well, there's
So-
time to go to war and there's time to actually like sit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the key, 321 consecutive games.
Yeah.
I don't think people fully appreciate it as we started this segment is there's a moment where you have to reflect, 320. How can I do it to get to 321? And I want you to tell
That was
our
in
audience,
Houston, right?
like just like power up. Tell the discipline that you have brought to the game of NFL, because so many of the players you'll see go on and then they're out for weeks, and you've done it consecutively 321 times.
Well, some people can say it's selfishness. I call it a little lunacy because I am that way. I'm a little bit out there. And I also saw the prospect of when they see somebody else can play that position, they look to remove you and put somebody else in that position. So I was somewhat selfish. I was like, that's my job, that's my position, and I don't want anybody else to be in that position.
Good for you.
I don't want them to give somebody an opportunity to showcase themselves doing what I can do. And so that was my selfishness. Like, it's my job, it's my spot, that's what I'm gonna do until I decide that I'm done.
Full ownership.
And
Can I tell a quick story?
Please do.
Okay, so we were known for our offensive line, and there was 4 guys on the offensive line, and it didn't matter who the 5th guy was, because the 5th guy was always on Will's right-hand side, and they could stick a schlepper in there, or they could stick a rookie in there. It didn't matter who they put in there. The other 4 guys took care of business, and it was unbelievable. Now, the NFL draft was just last weekend. The center that played with Will, a guy named Casey, he was drafted in the 11th round.
Back then, yeah.
Back then, like 11th round, are you kidding me? It's like that means you get to let the veterans rest and you get to be in training camp for 7 weeks and you're done. But you know what? Just like Will just said, it's all about availability, not your ability.
Yeah.
And Casey was available at the right time. Will was available, and the guy that sent him to me, Dave Zott, he was drafted in the 7th round.
7th round.
And Marty Schottenheimer told him, said, hey kid, you're here to let the veterans rest. Well, the 3rd game of that season, his first season, the left guard, which is the other side of Will, went down, and Dave played there, 10 years?
Yeah.
10 years. It was like, because they were available, and that's,
And
I know I had a little bit to play with that,
And
but
that's-
it's like,
and
that's their
that's-
mindset.
And I guess that sort of said it for me because that's how I got my start. They weren't sure if I could play or not. They weren't sure if I was ready. They were giving me an opportunity. And the first game we were playing Tampa Bay. Dave gets hurt. Right guard goes to left guard. I go to right guard. And then from that point on, it was my job.
I own it. I own it.
And that was sort of how it became to be. So I know if you're injured and you go out, that could be your last opportunity to get back in if that person shows up and does the things that you can do, but does other things on top of that. So the way I got my job is how I know that I didn't want anybody else to have that opportunity. And what was really cool is putting the right people around you, the massage therapist, the chiropractic, all of that made a big difference, as well as the guys that were there in the stadium doing the ice and stem and those kind of things. You put it on top of that to try to make yourself as healthy as you could be. Plus, I was one of those guys that would do off-season workouts were different than others. I would go work out at the stadium, then I'd go work out again later on doing the hot tub, the cold tub, all of the other pieces. I actually learned soccer during the off-season. So I was like, if I can actually learn how to control a ball with my feet from here to there, I can control my balance. I can understand different things. And what was really cool about that training is that the soccer coach actually taught me mental awareness and how to actually decompress my mind and get good nights of sleep, because he had been there and done it before for other players. So you got to cross over and figure out what's going to work best for you, but also put a good team around you to be the best you can be so that you're available all year long. Everyone's like, well, how long did you take off? And I was like, one year I took a month off. It was the worst season I ever had. It was the worst off season I ever had because I took too much time off. So I say I take 2 weeks off and then I go back to start working out, riding bikes, doing things, getting myself back into the injury so that I'm never injured because I'm always in somewhat good shape. And that makes a big difference.
So the gravity of this is, Will was doing this when none of that is around. Now, there's all kinds of things that the guys do in the offseason, and you've got a program that Major League Baseball players do, but this was when nobody was doing that, in the off season. They'd basically go on vacation for 3 months and then come back and then, oh crap, I got to go to training camp. It's going to kill me for 6 weeks.
Or you're gonna lose your career during training camp, right? And I think one of the things that I always discuss, and I love that you've already touched on this, is we're not training the body, we're training the nervous system. And it's not about time off. It's like, what are you doing with that time? Because you don't have to necessarily do physical, but there's a lot you can do with the nervous system that can make you have a higher capacity, more resilience for that next season. And that's where modalities come into play. But one question that I want to ask you, Doc, and I think this is really, really important, because I mean, your career continues to grow, right? And you continue to evolve. You're never stopping the learning process. Now we're seeing a lot of different types of injuries in this day and age because of the technology of lack of focus. What are some things you're seeing now with the younger guys coming up in the NFL versus the time when because I mean, let's just be honest, it was a different game, right? Mentally, physically, everything. Like, you were grinders. Now we have a different mentality around it. Talk about how you're adapting the clinic and how you're adapting chiropractic to that.
I would say there's two different perspectives. Will would be, if Will was drafted last week, he would be like the perfect new age player because he is curious about his body. He's curious about, not just performing on Sunday, but performing every day of the week as a father, as a husband. It was important to him, but it was his curiosity that drove a lot of that stuff. So we got those group of players that are curious about not just having their career be as long as they can be and put as much money in their pocket as they can. It's like, okay, what's after that for my life? Because there's more time after my professional career than there is during. Then there's another group that basically hasn't changed. It's basically, I'm in pain, do what I got to do to get out of pain so I can play today. I don't care about tomorrow. And so it's gotten to the point where some of those people, we just say, like, maybe you're not in the right place.
Yeah.
You can shoot up before a game with Toradol or whatever the drug du jour is now and be out of pain. And you had a teammate that did that. We won't mention any names, but it's no different than our everyday walk of life. Why are some people driven like Warren Buffett just retired at 917 or however old he was? Like what kept
918.
918. Okay, what drove that man to be a success in his career? And that was, he was curious, but he was also curious about helping other people prosper like he had learned how to prosper. And so the new age of athletes, they are a collective. Will introduced me to a guy named Duke who's got an offensive line summit. You've all heard of Travis Kelce on the tight end U, right? So players who are really not competitors in the same position, they want to make each other better and have each other be, your success is not dependent on me, but I feel more successful because I helped you be a little more successful. Just for one, I introduced you to, I'm sure if you asked Dave Zott, he'd say, one of the best things I did for Will was I introduced him to Doc M so he played longer.
Yeah.
So there's that mentality. Well, that's just like our everyday patients. Like, okay, how can you be the best person you can be in whatever passion you have in life? But I'm here to tell you, if you're not passionate about what you do, your life is going to be miserable. And you need to find something you're passionate about that will sustain you in the darkest times and in the greatest times. I know Will's gone through that in several games, and I was there for some of those games. And on one occasion, I remember I said, I'm not letting you sit this one out. I'm going to find a way to get you playing tomorrow. And we were in Houston, and we're sitting in the hotel, and I said, no, we're going to make this happen. This was like when he was like over 300 games or something. And he says, and he just implicitly trusted me. He said, okay, do your thing, and he just lay there and let me do my thing.
That's the key, is trust.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
totally.
With any healthcare provider that you have, as you're sitting there at home today, is you want to be able to trust the team that you have in place. But I have to be honest, I think having that friend that you trust that will say, there's a Dr. M. Well, who's a Dr. M? And he's like, he just used electrical tape on me. I trust you and you trust him, so I'm good. Tell me when you go on the game and today is not my best day, and then you watch some of the newcomers coming in, what are some of the things that you want to get them involved in so that their healthcare, their optimum performance is really achieved, that you learned?
Well, I want them to be curious, first and foremost. Curious about what they don't know, what they want to understand. It's like, how do you become the best you can be at that point? And that's a hard thing, because hey, I'm an NFL player, I'm professional, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but what can you do to get better? And to me, that's that outside source for us as older guys being able to express to them. It's like, yeah, it's a different game. It's like, yeah, you only have 37 practices with pads on right now. That's not even a fraction of the pad practice we had when we were playing. So now you're gonna have to do other things to supplement that on your own. So how do you make that balance up of being the best you can be when you can't do the same work? So we go, look, reach out, find out. Let us help you get better as we being a resource to tell you what we've already done. And to me, that is that key of trying to connect. And so I work with a couple of different guys. I help them connect and try to build out what they want to do. But I'm on the other end of that spectrum, and I say, you're going to have to call me and let me know when you want to work out. It's not on the other side. And that's the same with your doctor. Your doctor's not going to call you and tell you. You got to call them.
Oh, I love it.
And you got to find out, hey, I've got this new deal I'm trying. What do you think? And being able to bounce it off of them and figure out what's going on. And I've been there many times. Even right now, at my own age, I've had issues, and I'll be like, oh, I need to figure this out. So I'll go to the Cleveland Clinic. I'll go here. I'll go there. I'll ask Doc. I'll ask everybody. I'm calling like, hey, man, I've got this issue. And be okay with saying I've got this issue. That's hard for us as young men or older men. Hey, I got this issue. I need help. I need to fix this. And how do you fix it? You only talk about it because somebody else has it. And if they've been through it, they can at least help you grow through it, and that makes a difference.
Well, I think one of the things that I do is I change the language around it, right? Like I don't tell these guys, hey, this is a problem. You know, this is a limitation. This is keeping you from being efficient. This is keeping you from being your best. And so it changes their mentality of where they've been told, oh, if you're injured, you can't do this. I don't use that terminology. I'm like, no, like this is just a small limitation, but now we have an opportunity to figure out why this happened and make you better. And that shifts that athlete, that shifts that client, and now they're like, okay, now I want to go, right? It empowers them to take over their performance and their health. Everything you just said comes to your shirt. Talk to us a little bit about that, because mentoring is so important. And like when I work with Sac Summit and BT Jordan and all these other guys in the O-lines and ASU, like these principles are instilled and you have this in your foundation. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I try to teach different layers and different things. I've had a foundation, the Will to Succeed Foundation. We've had it for over 30 years. We started it with battered, abused women and children, and then we expanded it. What was really cool is when I came here as a chief, there were 17 different guys doing things in the community. It was a community-based team. We had banners up around the stadium and that kind of stuff. And I said, I want to be one of those guys. And what I noticed about those guys is that they all had football longevity as well as life longevity.
Wow.
Yes.
They were guys that were putting their roots in the ground, and they were saying, I'm here to help my community as well as my football team. And I was like, man. And of course, I've had this guy that in college, I mean, his name is Tom Osborne, that basically sort of set us up for that too.
Okay, I got to tell you.
He sort of set us up for that too.
To the Nebraska fans, this young man was the first person from Oklahoma that intentionally went to the University of Nebraska.
Yeah.
And the reason why he went was he wanted to play on Sundays.
Wanted the opportunity, yes.
I love
yes.
That's
The
amazing.
secret is now out.
It's out.
And so
He still loves Oklahoma, though,
I do.
right?
I do.
Tally
I love
ho, tally ho,
Oklahoma.
right?
Yeah, I still love Oklahoma. But you know, I had
love
to go.
that
I had to
you
go to
bring
where
that.
it would build me in and do that. But Coach Osborne was a guy, and he came in one day and he says, "We're going to start this new program." And I was like, "Okay, Coach, what's this new program?" He's like, "First program, we want you to go out and speak to the kids." And I was like, "And tell them what?" And he was like, "Talk about your trip. Talk about how you got here. Talk about your struggle," because I struggle with test taking. So I get anxious and get nervous. And, you know, it's not like I didn't know it, but I get so nervous that it makes you feel, oh, I can't do this. So I told him a story about how I had to take 3 times to get to a point to where I could get to the University of Nebraska. And so after I told the story, the kids wrote essays back about it, like, hey, thank you for speaking and this, that, and the other. So kids start sending you letters about, hey, thanks for saying that because I get anxious about certain things and I have things. And I'm like, I'm an offensive lineman that plays here. I'm not a quarterback. I'm not a running back, but I can make a difference. And so he started that little seed, and then he built a program called Teammates. And so what we do is we partner with kids in the local area, athlete to a kid in the local area, and we're their mentors. So we become sort of their mentors, like big brothers and big sisters, but football players and whatever. And so he's expanded that. It's now they do it at OU, Kansas, K-State, all these different colleges. But he sort of set the precedent of what and how you can do this. So built the will to succeed. We work now with at least 50 to 60 different organizations over the last 30 years. So we try to build things that need to be built. And what's cool about it is that we can take any program and build it. So any foundation we work with, we can actually benefit from it, fix it, help it work, give them money, grants, all of that. And so we just find out what is the problem in our community, and we try to build on it.
Right.
We can't build it all, but we can build a lot of different things. And so us starting that is what sort of started us down the pathway of doing all the work that we do in the community. So I teach a lot, but I'm not a teacher, but I try to contribute to everything I can, because everybody looks at me like, hey, I've got this idea, I'm doing this, that, and the other. And I go, so did you ever think about this? Did you ever think about that? Because you've been there, you've seen a lot, but you also just want to give them extra things that they can use. And that's what it is. So I work for the NFL. I help guys transition in and out of the league, which is the hardest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because I tell them transition is forever. It's not a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year thing. It's from when you're done playing the sport all the way through, because there is an ending to the sport. And that transition is hard. And so I say, hey, this is how it works. So I work with all 32 of the rookie groups that come in. And then I work with my Kansas and Denver groups here as our older guys. And so you're talking to guys that are 60, 70, 80 years old that's out of the league, and they're going, well, what's in it for me? And it's like, hey, there's health and wellness benefits, there's mental benefits, there's other things that you can use to make yourself the best you can be. And I had that same problem with transition. So when I retired, I had about 4 or 5 years there where I was like, I'm not working out anymore. I don't want to touch a weight. I don't want to ride a bike. I don't want to do all that. So actually I gained almost,
not good.
I was about 350 at one point. And I was like, but I don't want to touch weights, but I still like eating. So, that's a good thing. So I was still eating what I ate and everything else. So I got really sick. I didn't feel well. And I was like, well, what do I do to fix it? So then I was like, I got to figure out what I can do next. So I got mad, because I was like, I was a professional athlete. I was the best at what I did. So why am I not the best at being healthy? And so I went down the pathway of trying to learn and trying to figure out what it is. So I actually did research and books and questions and everything else, so I went total opposite. And I tell people, look, you eat the way you eat, you do what you do, but I have to do what's best for me. So you start doing the testing, you start doing all the other things and going down the rabbit hole to try to find out what's better. I mean, even down to a couple of weeks ago, I even went back to another clinic just because I had issues that I was trying to figure out. I was like, so that to me is where you always try to be the best you can be.
Even in the transition, and I think many of us go through these transitions from career or games, or even, we're chiropractors, we're constantly using our bodies, and we have to step out every once in a while, or even take a day off, right? And so what I really love about you being in the game is you help people recognize when it's time to maybe shift a little how you think, so that you can perform differently, whether you're on the field or you're starting to move away from the field, because we're just as energetic when we retire as we were playing the game. It's just a different transition.
Yeah.
Your last crayon on your shirt, for those who can't read the shirt, is love.
Yeah.
And we work on a frequency in our nervous system. 528 hertz is in fact love. And I want to thank you, because love is what generates this community, what generates hope so people can cope. And if you are transitioning from your career or from an injury or any kind of thing like that, it's people like you, people that are stepping up and really creating an open environment to say, I can help. I can be right there. And I want to thank Dr. M for being with us today as well. Will, you have generated so much enthusiasm and really discipline. 321 days is discipline with a capital D, no matter how you shake it out, and you're giving back all the time, and you gave today with the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress. I want to leave the last word with you. When you leave the game and you went into this kind of a 5-year transition of I'm not feeling my best. I'm not doing the things that I probably could be doing.
Yeah.
Where would you take that consumer on Saturday who's listening today? What words would you give them? What were the words that resonated for you in that moment?
Well, I think it's more or less open yourself up for the opportunity to grow. And that's the hard part, is how do you figure out what's the best for you? And it's only for you to open up and ask the questions. If you don't ask the questions, you'll never get the answers. So open yourself up, ask the questions, ask the hard questions to people around you, because you're not there by yourself. And that's the one thing you need to understand. You're not by yourself. There's somebody else that's going through it. They just might not have the will at that point to speak up until you speak up first.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That's the love, that's the heart, that's the I Teach shirt that makes you such a special individual, and why you found each other to really bounce from and build up. So thank you. Thank you to both of you for being here today. It is the love of chiropractic that brought me here. I know that's why Dr. Drake is here as well. So first and foremost, we want to thank you for joining us. These fantastic guests are only possible through our sponsors, so we do thank them as well.
All right, we got a short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. In the meantime, visit the Foundation for Chiropractic Progress website, ChiroThon. Make sure to take a donation. Remember, the first few people to donate, we said 5, right?
Right.
First 5 in that segment, but I'm gonna tell you what, if you donate in this segment, you're gonna get 5 more and I'll sponsor it. Every dollar helps, so we'll see you soon.
Hi, my name is Dennis DeLuca, the president of Biotics Research. In the late 1950s, my cousin was diagnosed with a serious illness, and my father became determined to help him. The prognosis was not good, but through science-based nutritional intervention, my cousin's quality of life exceeded medical expectations. It was that illness that brought several family members together, which led to the founding of Biotics Research in 1976.